Your confidence dissolved the moment your position became unclear. It didn't vanish randomly, it disappeared selectively. You didn't lose confidence everywhere, only in certain environments, only under specific conditions, which tells us something important. You don't lack confidence because you're insecure. You lack confidence because the positioning shifted. Not because you doubt who you are, but because you're no longer sure where you stand. And when your position becomes unclear, you start adjusting instead of deciding. That's how confidence erodes quietly, not through failure, but through participation in a dynamic that no longer places you clearly. Trying to build confidence inside an imbalanced dynamic is like trying to stand up straight while someone keeps pulling your chair back. You think you need stronger legs, more affirmations, more belief, but the problem isn't your strength, it's that you're trying to stabilize what someone else keeps moving. So if you're trying to build confidence, you don't need to hype yourself up. You need to understand where the leverage sits and how you've been adjusting around it. Because here's what most people miss. The moment leverage shifts, confidence doesn't collapse dramatically. It recalculates. Decisions feel heavier. Timing feels delicate. Silence feels safer than assertion. Not because you're unsure, but because you understand that consequences don't fall evenly anymore. You're not confused, you're cautious. And that caution gets mislabeled as low confidence. But confidence didn't leave, the cost of movement changed. Someone stopped sharing risk. Someone started holding more control. Someone shifted the dynamic quietly, and your confidence responded accurately. That's why trying to fix yourself never works here. Nothing is wrong with you. Something shifted in the structure around you. And the moment you see that, confidence starts stabilizing. And what's wild is you feel this before you can explain it. That tightness before you speak, that extra breath before you disagree, that pause before you assert something you know is true. That's not insecurity. That's your body running numbers before your mind catches up. Your nervous system reads imbalance faster than language ever could. It notices the slight edge in their tone, the way your input started getting skipped, the pattern of your needs being delayed, minimized, or reframed. So doubt shows up, not because you're weak, but because something stopped being neutral. Most people try to eliminate doubt before they act, but doubt isn't the enemy here. It's early information. The problem isn't that you feel doubt, it's that no one taught you how to read what it's responding to. Because once you stop fighting doubt and start asking what triggered it, authority comes back online quietly. But when you don't, when you treat doubt like a defect instead of data, you catch yourself mid-sentence wondering, does that make sense? Not because you're unclear, but because you're checking whether your clarity will be accepted. You start explaining decisions before anyone asks for justification. You soften statements that should have been final. That pause, that's not confusion, that's risk assessment. Overthinking isn't lack of confidence, it's what happens when authority stops being assumed. Clarity turns into justification, decisions turns into negotiations, statements turns into questions. And the more you explain, the more your authority erodes. Not because explanation is bad, but because in imbalanced dynamics, explanation becomes permission for debate. Once you see that, you stop trying to say more and start asking why authority isn't being recognized in the first place. This is where most women don't even realize what's happening. Adjustment feels mature. It feels emotionally intelligent. It feels like keeping the peace. But over time, it quietly erases your position. You shift your schedule, they don't. You manage emotions, yours become too much. You compromise, their preferences stay fixed. And because it happens gradually, you don't notice the pattern forming until one day you realize you've been adjusting so long, you're not sure where you stand anymore. Repeated adjustment without reciprocity isn't collaboration. It's how leverage maintains itself without force. And the moment you question why adaptation always comes from you, the system destabilizes. Not loudly, structurally. Notice this. Where do you feel the most hesitation? It's not everywhere. It pops up in specific situations, with specific people, under specific conditions. That's not random. That's data. And here's the part nobody tells you. Confidence doesn't return when doubt disappears. It returns when participation changes. You've been waiting to feel confident before you move, but that's backwards. Confidence isn't the cause, it's the result. The moment you stop adjusting to keep things smooth, the moment you say what you mean once and let it stand, the moment you stop managing someone else's reaction to your boundary, that's when confidence rebuilds. Not because doubt vanished, but because it stopped controlling your behavior. That's what owning your power actually looks like. Confidence isn't something you build, it's something you recover when leverage stops dictating your movement. You've been treating this like a personal flaw, like something inside you broke. But your confidence didn't break. It responded accurately to an environment that required you to stay small. And the moment you stop participating in what undermines your authority, confidence doesn't need motivation. It stabilizes because your position becomes clear again. And I want you to hear this now so you don't feel blindsided when it happens. The moment you stop adjusting, someone will call it rigid. The moment you stop explaining, someone will call it cold. The moment you stop absorbing, someone will call it selfish. They'll say you changed, but their discomfort over losing leverage is not your concern. It's confirmation you're standing in your power. So at some point, you're going to have to decide how you see this. Is this a confidence problem or is this a leverage problem? One keeps you focused on fixing yourself. The other puts you back in control of your position. You already know which one is true. This channel isn't about eliminating doubt. It's about restoring clarity, about understanding where power operates and choosing not to leak it. You don't need to feel ready. You don't need certainty. You don't need permission. You need orientation. And when orientation returns, confidence follows. And if you're learning how to step into your power, even while doubt is still present, subscribe. You're exactly where you're supposed to be.